Namaste.
Namaste, Benjamin. How goes it?
It goes well, says the German, and the German also has realized that this is our 10th episode, which is a little anniversary.
It is. Have we been doing this for 10 weeks?
And who has been following us knows that there is a trend of Mr. Malhotra changing locations and backgrounds. And I think in the 10th episode, you're in the 12th building or something like this.
Yeah, probably. But no, today I've gone with all white. I'm going black and white. That's my contrast. Situation for today, I've got some nice light. It's a nice sunny day in Berlin. Not a bad day.
Yeah. By the way, all white somehow made me think of the Galacticos Real Madrid, which then made me think about the not so Super League, which we did not discuss beforehand. Is there anything you need to say about this? Because it's relevant.
Yeah, I've been dying to it was, I think for me, the biggest shock was how little planning there was. I mean, these are supposed to be some of the richest guys. Okay, not the richest guys in the world, but some of the smartest minds in sports. FSG certainly blazes the way they handle the United takeover. And Florentino Perez, you're kidding me. And it's almost like they didn't ask a single other person apart from the 12 owners, like, hey guys, what do you think about this? Forget that. They didn't even have a single journalist or podcaster or blogger or anybody to put out even one positive story. Like, just pay a guy a couple of bucks and say, have a news article that says, hey, the Super League is great. It's launching today. Here's why it's great. It's going to try. Like, zero. Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, you have to put a lot of trust in someone to share that news up front. But yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm not saying up front. I'm saying after, like, just you've announced it, you have a proper press release, you have a marketing strategy around it. Like, it just seemed like they hadn't planned anything. They said, hey, we're going to drop this bomb and yeah, it'll all be okay. Come on, it'll be fine tomorrow.
Didn't happen.
Fine. It was not fine.
I'm sure we could talk about this the entire 30-35 minutes, right? But yeah, that was a thing. I don't know. Crazy, definitely crazy.
Happy it's gone. That's all I'll say. Happy it's gone. But yeah, let's get on with the episode.
Yes. So what are we talking about today, huh?
5 top news from the world of SportsTech, Ben, as we do every week.
As always.
As always.
Time, actually 11 because we had this test episode. But yeah, we are very used to this already. And if you have watched this show before, you probably know that we are doing the countdown from news number 5 to news number 1. And I believe today it is you kicking things off. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to start with this little tidbit, which is Bitcoin. Now you can get paid your salary in Bitcoin if you play for the Sacramento Kings, apparently. Yeah, I mean, a lot of startups have been doing this for a while, but now athletes are getting in this as well. Apparently, Sacramento, and we were discussing this, Ben said he had seen this before, but I wasn't sure. According to Forbes, anyway, the Kings will be the first major professional sports franchise in the US to offer payment in cryptocurrency. So this is an interesting deal. Yeah, I mean, Vivek Ranadev announced way back when that they would, I think Sacramento was the first team, I think it was 2013 or 2014, that they would accept payments for tickets and stuff in Bitcoin. So they set a trend. Then Cuban, of course, started doing that. Then Cuban, of course, started accepting Dogecoin at the Mavs. So they've gone fully jumped in, fully committed to that. But Sacramento is going to start offering contracts to players. And what they're saying is that they can offer as much as the player wants. So any portion of their salary is available in Bitcoin, and not just players, apparently. It's for anybody in the organization. And following that up, it's not just the NBA. The Oakland A's, of course, of Moneyball fame, are also saying the same thing. In fact, this is likely to be part of the next collective bargaining agreement between the MLB Players Association and the MLB itself. I think it's more and more likely that more and more players will ask to be paid salaries in Bitcoin. Ben, should we pay you in Bitcoin?
I'd be happy to, definitely. Please.
Yeah, I think so. I wish we'd been paying ourselves in Bitcoin at least a year ago. Forget before that. Even a year ago would have been great.
I agree. While you were talking, I did a quick research, and I've seen that the Panthers, Russell Okung, was demanding to be paid in Bitcoin in May 2019, and it seems like a year.
There was Spencer Dinwiddie as well, who had talked about his token stuff. There were a few cases of players talking about it, but I think this is the first one where the team itself is taking the initiative.
Well, I was wondering why the teams offer that. Is it a PR stunt, or is it something where they're like, okay, we just, I don't know, we try to be modern, or is it maybe something that attracts players there, which I find the most unlikely one? Did you have a thought on that?
Yeah, good question. I think at least right now, I mean, if you trust Bitcoin fans, advocates, whatever you want to call them, Bitcoin is even at 60,000 or whatever it's about now, it's only rising. So yeah, certainly over the long term. Is it genuinely a financial play? I don't know. Maybe they're so happy with all the Bitcoin that they've collected, they just, because they've been accepting Bitcoin as payments, they're sitting on such an asset bank that they want to share it, in which case it is probably PR, or they're expecting the value to drop, and they say that, hey, we can get salaries paid for cheap. Yeah, it's a fair question.
Yeah, it depends what is in the contract, right?
Yeah,
that's the interesting thing, because otherwise the player could just take the money and buy Bitcoin from it or other cryptocurrencies, right, when they get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, on to the next one, and we are staying in the blockchain space because there was a very interesting article published on Sportico. It's about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. As you probably know, we have launched a platform that is called niftysports.co, where we're tracking everything that is happening at the intersection of NFTs and sports. So if you want to find out more about this, this is the place to go. But coming back to this is actually news about SeatGeek. SeatGeek is working with NFL and NBA teams on NFT tickets. And the interesting part comes somewhere here. Let me see if I can find this. Of course, I'm not finding it now because they said they would like to do this in 3 phases. Here we go. It's actually 3 very interesting phases in my opinion. So the first part is to actually, oh, you cannot see this. Interesting. I was scrolling in the wrong window. Let me find that again. Sorry about that. Where is it? Here. There we go. So phase number 1 would be to mint those NFTs as collectibles. This would mean that you still have the ticket that you're used to, either in a digital way or even physical, but there would be, let's say, a second ticket that you would have as a collectible that you can keep for yourself as a memory, or maybe sell it on one of the many NFT platforms. The second phase of the idea that SeatGeek has is to fractional the ownership of seats and suits. So if you have, let's say, a season ticket or one of those VIP boxes, you automatically have the right to attend multiple games, right? And the typical situation is that you will not attend to all of those games. And with the NFTs or the fractionalization of those tickets with that technology behind, it is easier for you, for example, to transfer the right to attend a game to someone else, which is way easier than in the normal way where, I don't know, you would have to give someone the physical ticket or I don't know, send the digital one somehow to someone. But then it's a question: how do you make sure that that person is not using it multiple times? So there's some issues if you wanna share your season ticket or access to a box with someone else, and the NFT technology promises to actually solve this. And the third and the ultimate step would be to put the entire ticket on the blockchain and have it as an NFT, so that you would only need that one when you enter the stadium to get access to the stadium. This is from a technological standpoint, as it seems the most tricky one. And there are some questions around this. So would you have to pay in cryptocurrency? Can you still pay, I don't know, in US dollar, for example? What about the gas fees if you would pay in cryptocurrency? So some questions around that. Long story short is, I think it's fair to say that we can expect NFT tickets at some point. And again, Mark Cuban from the Mavericks has spoken about it before. What another big advantage for the teams is, so for the initiative that sells those tickets, is that they would participate in every secondary market sale of their ticket, because they can put that into those smart contracts. So there's actually, I think, big motivation for the teams to do that step at some point. SeatGeek seems to be the ticket company or ticket marketplace that is on top of things. Let's see if they're actually the first ones to execute, but they're planning to do this later this year. Ron, I need your take on this. Would you trust the blockchain enough to say, hey, I want to have my ticket stored on there?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think the biggest issue, and I think you covered it, is about the fluctuation in prices. I think that's the one element of it which needs to have some sort of stability, because you can't have prices fluctuating in that way. But the rest of it, I think, is totally good. I think it would be interesting to have my ticket delivered virtually. I think there's a lot more I could do with it. It might be collectible, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the rest of the story I like.
But one important thing, I mean, also the article is talking about this, like the gas fees of involving cryptocurrency, but I don't think that it's necessary to involve cryptocurrency. I mean, blockchain is not the same as a cryptocurrency, right? So if you can still pay, let's say, in euro and US dollar, then that effect is out.
Sure, I mean, that's on one side, but also I think if they're going to offer the cryptocurrency side, they have to have a clear translation between the two. I think the article talks about like a Stripe for cryptocurrency, which also works in the real world. So keeping that equilibrium in balance, I think that's the biggest thing, especially if you're on the secondary market and you bought it at one price and today it's worth a different thing. I think that's the trickiest part of it. But you're right, if you take the cryptocurrency element out, maybe that gets sorted, but then the novelty of the NFT ticket itself maybe gets affected. Yeah.
Or you can go for a stable coin that is always in a stable ratio to US dollar or something. So I think some of the problems that I mentioned in the article can actually be solved. But yeah, sure. Let's move on to the next topic. Otherwise, I'm talking about NFTs all day, every day again.
No worries. We are going to go into Formula One. All right. As always, one of my favorite topics to talk about. The racing is back. In fact, it was a fantastic Grand Prix at Imola last weekend. Lewis Hamilton, what a drive. But no, one of the things that AWS, and I think we've talked about this before, maybe not as a main story, but in general, AWS has been bringing a lot of really cool fan engagement stuff to the experience of watching the Grand Prix. And last weekend at Imola, they announced this. They brought a few new metrics, and we tested this before, so I'm hoping that it works now. Usually when I play videos, there's an issue. It seems to be working okay. But basically, they introduced a few metrics of metrics for the fan to watch their experience, or how they're watching. And these were or related to braking. So how late somebody brakes, what is the G-force that they experience with braking, and I think it'll show up right now. You can see who's the fastest at slowing down was their pitch, which I think is actually a cool one. Previously, you've seen AWS do a lot of really interesting metrics, but in this one, you'll see what is the distance before the apex of the corner that the person actually brakes. You see the speed that they were carrying when they hit the brakes. That's the second metric. The deceleration time, the G-force that they were carrying. So a lot of just interesting, cool metrics for you to see comparing. And I think the main one for me as a major fan of Formula One, I would love to see who breaks the latest, and especially when there's an overtaking move happening, how late was the person who made the maneuver? what is the difference in between who had the most cuts, whatever. Previously, like I said, AWS has done a bunch of other stuff related to pits, related to like likelihood of tires retaining, how long they'll stay. But they've actually, along with this breaking one, they're introducing more engagement metrics at Future Grand Prix. Car exploitation, how much of the car is actually functioning and how close is it to the limit, energy usage, how quick was the start, which drivers had the best flexes, pit lane performance, how much time was lost there. So I think the thing about this one, I'll say, Ben, you can jump back in, is that F1 is such a data-heavy sport inherently. It's so complicated. There's so much happening at any point in time that they're trying to share some of this data in like a cool format, in like an interesting way to the end user. So for me, I find it exciting. But question to you, who is maybe not such an avid F1 racer, F1 watcher, would these like make you say, "Hey, there's more data. I want to make excites me more"?
I'm not such a good racer, probably. I was watching a lot of Formula One when Michael Schumacher was still racing.
Back in the day. Yeah.
And then I was watching when Vettel was popular. So I'm only watching if German.
The Germans are winning. Yeah.
Yeah, stupid way of choosing.
Well, actually, the Germans are winning now. It's a Mercedes car that's winning now.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's more about the people behind, or actually in the car. But I was amazed, like when I saw this video and some of the other graphics, how much of a better job the Formula One is doing now compared to those days. And it's been some years since I watched the Formula One race, so that itself I find really cool. But for me, there's one important key point that can show as much cool stuff as possible. If, let's say, the translation to the fan is not happening in a good way, then it's not worth anything. And I think the decisive factor in there are actually the commentators. Yep. So I don't know how often they change, how fit they are, how well they are with the data. I mean, you watch it a lot, so maybe you can speak about this. But I, as a fan, I think I probably need someone who puts that in perspective for me, explains that well to me. My example is always Bundesliga football, actually. So there's interesting data, but the commentators hardly do anything with it, and then I think it's not worth showing it almost.
And there I'd say I think Formula One is really, especially with Liberty Media coming in, they've really changed genuinely the way the sport is presented. I mean, the commentators have been the same. I think Robert Croft and Martin Brundle, legendary racer in his own right, have been doing it for a while, even before Liberty came in. But to your point, they do a good job. Mm-hmm. Brundle is the technical guy who, I mean, because he's the former racer, who's talking about like all the technical data aspects of it while still doing it in a storytelling way. My experiences of the other metrics, these are new ones, remember. The Amazon AWS has launched metrics before. They've usually done a really good job of telling the story. Yeah, and to keep the viewers engaged, I could say, I mean, I'm a fan, but my girlfriend, when she sits down and watches Formula One, she watches the whole race with me. Like she's in, she's committed for sure. I think, but because I think they do a good job of once you've brought the audience in, and Drive to Survive is a big one for that, but they keep them there. I think they do a good job.
Second week in a row, you mentioned the girlfriend. Yeah, I have to say.
But that's what I mean. Converting fans, it's credit to them.
But one question, never asked you: Are you rooting for a specific driver or team? Never asked you that question.
Who do I support? Yeah, obviously, I don't have one. I would say I'm a big Lewis fan. Always have been. He's just an absolute legend. Kimi, the Ferraris I've never been a fan of, but I want them to do well. This year, though, as much as I love Lewis, I'm rooting for Max. I want Max and Red Bull to break that dominance, to make the sport a bit more dynamic. Yeah, this year I'm rooting for Max, but overall, a Lewis fan.
Sweet. All right, enough about racing. By the way, we get back to racing at a later point, but
yeah,
less. It's also so technical, but yeah, whatever. We get back to that. Let me come up with the next topic. We are talking fitness gadgets again. If you have been following us over the last couple of weeks, we were speaking about Peloton. We were mentioning the big investment rounds into Tempo and Tonal. And once again, another week where a big investment round was announced, as you can see in Chinese fitness tech startup Fiture, and never know if that's the right way to pronounce them. Let's say it is the right way. Fiture got $300 million of funding. And as you can see on that picture, it is about a smart mirror. We talk about smart mirror. The first thing that comes to mind is a company called Mirror, fantastic name, and helps in Google search, not. And they got acquired by Lululemon. Was it last year, I think? And that seems to, or turns out that was a good deal, because Mirror is creating lots of revenues for them. So compared to what they paid for it, it seems to be a good deal. What we actually want to talk about is this product. And whenever such a big investment round comes up, we just want to share this product with you. So as you know, it is from China. Let's quickly go on to their website. So what does it do? Just a quick run through. The page is in Chinese, by the way. I did not find any way to translate it. As you can see, you can do your workout in front of the mirror. There is an optical tracking solution in there. So you get tracked when working out. Of course, you have your trainers and coaches, like your on demand and probably also live fitness classes. But what I find especially interesting is this here, is that it seems to be doing really well in the motion tracking department. So with that camera, I don't know where it sits, your body movement, your posture gets analyzed. And I think this is, I don't know, I would almost call it the holy grail, because if that is done well, and if the feedback coming out of this is actually actionable and helps you, I think this is really powerful. And yeah, looks like a very cool company. Unfortunately, we were not able to test this yet. Ron, I think we have to do a trip to China at some point. Maybe we should do a 2-week trip and test a lot of stuff there, because we see more and more interesting, especially fitness tech solutions coming out of China. What is your take?
China and India. I think India launched, I think what's it called, Tread. India's bike, which is really taken off.
Yeah.
China has a bunch of products. Yeah, of course, growing market. But actually, instead of a take, I'll share a little tidbit. I was watching an interview with Bryn Putnam. I think that's how you pronounce her name, the founder of Mirror, the company that most people know about. And her story of how Mirror came about. And it was interesting. She said that basically she used to run a digital fitness studio, not a digital one, in Manhattan somewhere. Small studio, boutique fitness studio, kind of grew, had really good audience base, etc. And in one of their surveys, they were just getting feedback from users, like what's been going well, because they were growing pretty fast, so they wanted to keep up with it. And of all the things they had launched in that year, apparently the thing that that their customers liked most was because these guys had actually installed full-length mirrors in that studio. And they said people watching themselves work out, so all the other engagement, all the other the trainers, this, that, all that was apart, but they loved the idea of watching themselves work out. And from that came the idea of trying to convert that into an at-home solution. She's, by the way, a Harvard graduate as well, so had, I guess, the brain power apart from the brawn power to execute something like this. But it was just from vanity, just people watching themselves came a $500 million sale to Lululemon. There you go.
We should come up with something like this, my friend.
Yeah.
Right. Coming to a very interesting topic, in my opinion. That's why it's the #1 topic of the day.
Yep.
I did not read too many details, so I'm looking forward to be enlightened by you. And for this, I'm going backstage.
Let's do this. Well, okay. Olympics and esports. This has been a conversation that has been had for so long. I think from the last Olympics itself, the Olympics channel, anybody on the digital side of the Olympics has been talking about how do we retain fans, how do we attract new fans. Olympics losing fans for a long time. I mean, good examples of the fact that even cities bidding for the Olympics, they don't bid for them anymore. The last time when Paris won the Olympic bid, that's why Paris and LA were awarded the next 2 Olympics, because those are the only two cities bidding. The Olympics, not so hot anymore. They need to attract new fans. And esports was their trick for how they're going to do this. Well, ta-da, wherever you see the screen, they've officially announced the virtual move into virtual sports by announcing the Olympic Virtual Series. Now, what exactly is the Olympic Virtual Series? Now, this is going to be a series across 5 sports which are baseball, cycling, rowing, sailing, and F1 motorsports, which are going to be happening before the Olympics. The Olympics, I think, go live, I think, on the 23rd of July, if I'm not mistaken. So this is just about a month before, and they're broadcast on the Olympics channel. The Olympic Virtual Series will be a series of, like I said, across these five, but they have a partner. So the partner is one of these games. So, for example, for cycling, it's Swift. For the FI, it's Gran Turismo. For sailing, it's Virtual Regatta, etc. So they have these partners wherein they're hosting like a virtual Olympic event. Who can participate in this virtual Olympic event? Everyone. The mass participation allows participants around the world to compete from their home to generate maximum excitement. We want to maximize online mass participation and prioritize inclusivity. We want to provide a unique digital experience, blah, blah, blah. But the idea is pretty simple. The Olympics wants to connect with younger fans, and they want to make their sports or digital virtual versions of their sports available to these younger fans. And the one thing that I'm unclear on, which the few things that I read about it on a couple of websites that I didn't get, I thought there would also be a layer of elite, I don't know, not esport athletes, because Zwift I don't think has esport competitors, but some level of celebrities, elites coming in. I'm guessing closer to the event you'll see each being announced. So that's one thing which we're still waiting to watch. Another thing that all of these five that they've announced, they've also said that the format of the five will be completely different. So each owner, each partner will run the format of their virtual Olympic series event themselves. So you could have completely different formats. The only thing we know is that it is meant to be inclusive. So anybody from around the world can join the event. There will be maybe different rounds. Maybe there will be like a qualifying. There'll be some sort of elite thing. None of that is clear yet. But what is clear is that the Olympics and esports are doing something, or the Olympics are doing something in the esports area. Finally, long time coming, and curious to see how it goes. Ben, which of the five would you pick?
I wanted to ask you the same question. I'm going to answer it in a second.
Well, I thought for me it would be easy. I would just go.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm going to answer that right away, and I'm going to add my 2 cents. And not baseball. I bought a new bike, so there is potential for cycling.
I was going to say that one, yeah.
That's not going to happen until when does it start? I mean, in a month or so.
30th of June. You've got some time. 30th of May. Okay.
That's soon. Rowing and sailing, I also don't see myself. So I think it has to be. We're competing in the same area, because when I was younger, when Michael Schumacher was still racing, I had like a proper setup at home, with like the steering wheel, and I had like the throttle and the brake like underneath the table. So when I was, I don't know, 14 or so, I was not bad. I loved the Belgian Grand Prix. That was my favorite one.
In and out. Eau Rouge. Just to drive up Eau Rouge. Yeah. In fact, that's most F1 drivers will say that's their favorite corner on the calendar.
Even in the game back then, I mean, that's a long time ago. By the way, the series ends on my birthday, in case our huge audience wants to congratulate me, 23rd of June. But no, what I wanted to say is I think that's a fabulous move. A fabulous move in 2 ways. I mean, there's been lots of talk about should the Olympic Games include esports or not. I think solving it by adding another tournament before the actual Olympics and have a little test run, I think that is smart. And the second, almost genius move is to make it a mass participation event. Because, like you said, make it interesting for the younger audience, get people involved. I mean, I didn't know this until you're telling me about this before. So you being able to say, hey, I took part in the first ever virtual Olympics, no matter how bad I am in any of those sports, I mean, that is something. So I think this will draw a lot of attention. So I think it's a really, really good move. I like it. Is there anything, do you think is there any risk or anything bad about it?
No, to be honest. I mean, there was a lot of talk over the last 3-4 years. And I've been in numerous talks and heard different people from the sports ecosystem speak about is the esports a sport? Should it be at the Olympics and blah blah blah? Okay, I think all those conversations are well put aside. It's about attracting new fans, and using our previous example, Formula One is genuinely been a benchmark in how to do this. I mean, during the pandemic, when everything was gone, Formula One gained so much of a new audience by their esports series, by the EA Sports F1 series. And what did they do? They had celebrities. They had not just the actual drivers. They had cricketers. They had footballers. They had a bunch of other guys come in, singers, actors. But they really created some celebrities who were racing with younger fans, with actual people. So, well, I say actual people. Everybody is actual people, but they were racing with non-celebrities, shall we say? So they've
cut it.
Sorry.
It's live. We cannot cut it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll live with that. But I think they've done a great job on that. So I think Olympics taking a cue from there is really good as well.
Two sports are missing, I think. One
horse racing.
Horse racing. Is horse racing Olympic? Probably, right? It has to be.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe digital horse racing, but that's for later. Two other sports. I think the Ika race should also be Olympic. Shout out to Icarus, who we have been visiting last week. More about that soon. That should be amongst the virtual sports. And a sport that has been missing for quite a while is chess. Chess is not an Olympic sport, neither virtual nor offline analog.
And maybe Magnus Carlsen has some answers for this.
Thank you for bringing that up. What a coincidence. We were playing chess, Ron and myself. Let me quickly show you this video. So as you probably know, on our Hello SportsTech YouTube channel, we are testing interesting products from the world of sports and technology on, I would say, almost a weekly basis. Sometimes we do a review of those of those that we have tested. But last week we were playing chess, which we haven't done in a while. And let me say the most important thing first. The guy with the black figures on that board won at the end before coming to the actual product. Mr. Malhotra is going to jump onto that topic in a second. But no, we were testing the Play Magnus app. Magnus Carlsen, world champion, famous chess player, and he developed a training app. Probably also got a big boost because of the Queen's Gambit Netflix series. Lots of people were joining chess clubs, had to revamp their chess skills, new people joining. So there was a big trend based on that TV series. And we tested his app, which I find like really, really interesting. Like I'm not just saying it, I'm meaning it. I spend hours on the couch behind me going through the app and refreshing my knowledge. And the cool thing is that it's for complete beginners, but also at the same time, from my perspective at least, for people who are really advanced. So if you want to learn the game of chess, that's something for you. But also if you want to dive into some classic games with like really tricky situations where you have to figure out things and solve tasks, all of that is in that app, and I literally can highly recommend it. I think you have a 1 or 2 week free trial, then you have to jump on a subscription. But it really sparked my interest in chess again, and I'm sure Mr. Malhotra wants to have a rematch against me. The thing is, we played before I was using that app, so I think his chances are even lower to win against me after I've been testing this app for hours.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think I'll just be a bit more prepared to. I'll bring a book or something so that I have something to read while you take forever to think of your next move. So I'll be a little bit more prepared next time. But no, it was fun. It was super fun. We got a couple of players. It was a nice evening. And yeah, I look forward to setting up another game.
Yeah. But no, it was really cool. I mean, on the screen now, you see one of the examples of where you have to do a checkmate in one move. So like sometimes really, really tricky. So I had a good time, and I'm still on my free trial, and every day I'm scared that I'm out of that free trial. So I think it's probably worth investing a few bucks to have it a bit longer. All right,
cool,
that is
all right.
The test from last week. Take it away with the +1.
Yeah, last story of the day, and a pretty fun one, I have to say. Yeah, that headline kind of says it all. So we came across a story. It's a company that we know from before, Zedrun. It's actually one of the investors is a guy who's an investor in Unicorn, which is a esports betting application. So this whole thing with NFTs and esports and bringing the two together, digital gaming along with non-fungible tokens and all of that stuff. Horse racing, interestingly, would be a good way to combine the two, apparently. So Zed Run, or Zed is the name of the platform, where people can buy digital horses. And the difference between normal gaming and that is that here there is an element of ownership, which is what makes the whole thing unique. So you can buy a horse. Apparently, horses selling for anywhere between 15 to 125,000. So people are spending real money. Like 11,000 horses sold, and there are more horses being bred. A horse comes with a lineage of previous races they've won. It's really complicated, interesting stuff, I would say. But here's what you do: you owners pay entry fees to participate in races with prize pools ranging from a few dollars to several hundred. So you buy a horse, right? You pay a lot of money to buy this digital horse, and then you pay money to enter it into races, and then you receive money if it wins. Simple as that. Uh, but what is interesting though is actually how it works. If this page loads, I was trying to get it to work earlier. Yeah, it's actually funny again now. But no, it basically it looks really. It looks like it's like Tron. Have you watched the movie Tron? Yeah, this should be running. Yeah, you see these horses running through this. It flickers in and out. I don't know what the issue is, but it runs. The horses running through these like kind of very virtual. I think it's set in a planet where in the year 2050, where the world relies on these horses to as a source of money. So it's a dystopian universe that they've created where horse racing is a big deal, and you can buy a digital horse and make money out of it. Yeah, I think this page is loading and all sorts of funny things. In the meantime, we'll bring Ben back. Ben, what do you want to do with this?
What do you want out of
How
life?
much money would you How much money would you put in? That's the question.
First of all, of course, I saw that before because I'm always up to date in with regards to NFTs. Yeah, it's NFT based, those horses.
And all matter relating to horses.
Yeah, of course, as always, we still have to test a horse-related product at some point, running gag in our company. And I'm on the wait list for the next drop since forever, it feels, because I, of course, want to invest in at least one of the horses. You know me, I'm testing those kind of things. I have no idea where it goes. If I don't have to spend crazy money, I would definitely buy one and just see what I think that's the main thing. See what it does to you. You know, like it's the same with other NFTs, like on Sorare or NBA Top Shot. Just see what it does to you when you own one, and when you can do something with it, and when you can put it on the market, or I don't know. I just wanna test it and see how it feels. But I mean, execution seems to be done well. I mean, it's very successful so far. So very interesting case.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I mean, I've actually bet on horses like super casually, nothing serious. But like a friend of mine who's a big horse bettor, I've gone with him to the track. So actually, it's super fun. And
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you make money. If you don't make money, you kind of have a beer and you go home. But I can imagine this. Like, if you see this, you could get into this. I sent this to my friend. I'm waiting to see what he says as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's supposed to be a drop at sometime soon, whatever that means, and I'm sure it's going to be super sought after because I think Zed made it into the mass media segment now, but still I'm trying to get one.
Yeah, that's why the article got covered now because they were finally been growing like mad.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's us. That's us for the week. A longish episode.
Yes, long episode. How did it happen? I don't know. We just like to talk a lot sometimes. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and see and hear you next week. Have a good one.
Ciao. Oh wait, sign offs, Nifty Sports, yeah, all of that stuff. Check out Nifty Sports. Check out our Instagram. Where are all those things? Okay, yeah. You know what to do.